Welcome back to the Warcraft Weekly, the show that brings you all the latest information about World of Warcraft from both within the game and the community around it. In this week's episode, we're going to take a dive into what's occurring this week in World of Warcraft, including the Mythic plus Affixes. We'll take a look at the different events occurring in the game this week. Some of them are a continuation from last week. We've got some community roundup news from outside the game, and then we're going to finish by taking a look at this week's Transmog of the Month entries, with details on how you can get involved yourself to win the £20 Battle.net balance. So first of all, the in-game news. What are the affixes this week? So we've got Tyrannical this week, so trickier bosses with more health and damage on the bosses of each dungeon. First affix to deal with is Storming, so occasionally tornadoes will spawn when you're in combat and move around the area gradually, knocking you back and dealing damage if you come into contact with them. These do tend to favour melee, so just keep an eye out for those. The more enemies in combat, the more tornadoes there will be. And the second affix is Raging, so if you invite a demon hunter to your key, whenever anyone makes a mistake, they will rage quit and deplete your key, even if you're on the last boss. Okay, I'm just kidding. Raging. When mobs get to 20% health, they enrage, dealing more damage. You can use Soothe effects to get rid of this buff, or tanks, you might just want to kite the packs towards the end of the pull, especially on those higher keys. And the rest of the group, you can use CCs and things to control the mobs when they get low to help the tank and the healer out. This week's main event is the Dragonflight dungeon event, so the last boss of each dungeon drops an extra piece of loot. You can also pick up the Emissary of War quest, either from Khazra in Valdrakken or from the adventure guide by pressing Shift and J. You will need to complete 4 mythic dungeons, and if I remember correctly, if you do this quest you'll get a piece of heroic item level raid loot from the cash that it gives you. The PvP brawl this week is Deep 6, so these are basically smaller versions of various battlegrounds. There will be 6 players on each side, hence the name, and you can play on various maps. You've got Warsong Gulch, but with flags that are a bit closer, so there's less distance needed to cap the flag. You've also got things like Silver Shard Mines, but there's less cards to fight over, Temple of Kotmogu, but there's only 2 orbs, and so on and so on. There's a few other maps you can play on that follow in a similar fashion. Overall, likely a bit less chaotic, but I think it will put a bit more pressure on each individual player to do a good job to secure the win. Now in terms of other events, you have indeed still got the Lunar Festival. This ends on Saturday the 17th, so do check out the specific time zone for your region to make sure it doesn't end earlier than you expect, and just make sure you finish off everything you've got from the Lunar Festival event. Also still occurring is Love is in the Air. I think this has been quite a good event this time round. Overall a big fan of the revamp, nice and easy with the dailies. I managed to get the 2 mounts already, which was the main thing that I wanted to. Not currently got the Heartbreaker though, well, the Love Rocket as we all know it. So yeah, the event ends on the 19th of Feb, so still just about a week to keep on farming for the Big Love Rocket, or the X53 Heartbreaker, and get any of the other toys and rewards that you might want from the event itself. So let me know in the comments, did you manage to get the Love Rocket this time round, or are you still farming like me? And what are your thoughts on the event changes? Okay, so the PTR beta in development section, so we don't of course have anything to actually test yet, but we did get some more news on some hero talents. Specifically, we got to look at the Dark Ranger one for the Hunters, and the Frostfire for Mages, and also the Druid's Keeper of the Grove hero talents. Now you can have a flick through the talents on Wowhead, I will link that in the description below for you guys. It's fairly interesting stuff, to be honest. I am quite intrigued by the Dark Ranger specifically because I do play Hunter as well, as usually by kind of main ult, if you will. There's a lovely looking leech build going down the middle of the tree. It seems like it'll be really nice for hunters, as overall, you know, with the hunter toolkits, sometimes they do struggle with survivability a bit, ironically. This one isn't available though for survival hunters. So the Dark Ranger tree is for beast mastery and marksmanship, not survival. So yeah, sorry survival hunters. Does make me wonder what they'll get with the trees. And then you've got the Frostfire one for mages. Now I remember Blizzard saying a while back that, you know, Frostfire Bolt was a bit of a silly spell, because of course if you've got frost and fire in the same spell, it's just going to turn into a puddle, isn't it, of water, because the fire will melt the frost. Or so you would think. So I'm pretty sure that was one of the main reasons why they removed that spell back in the day when they were trying to de-button blow some of the classes, but it seems to be making its way back, so there you go, mages are going to be just throwing water at people. And there is also the Priest hero talents, but I don't really know enough about Priest to comment on those, but it seems cool. There are some deeper dives that some other content creators have gone into with Blizzard around these talents, so again, I'll link those in the description below. Now step into Community Corner with me. So normally when a Blizzard employee leaves the company, we're made aware of it in some way, either by the person themselves saying a sort of public goodbye, or the company Blizzard just sort of putting a post out. But one person who seems to have snuck out the back door is Steve Danusa, who was the lead director on the story for Shadowlands and seemingly Dragonflight as well. He was also known for publicly saying that Season 8 of Game of Thrones was a masterpiece, when we all know that the reality is, it was a bit of a rushed, mediocre effort towards the end of the season, and it kind of really let the whole series down. Someone basically checked him out on LinkedIn and found from his job history, he does seem to have left Blizzard in November last year, possibly forced out, hence why there was no kind of public announcement. And we do of course now have Chris Metzen back as well, who is presumably leading the charge of things story-wise now with the expansions going forward, with of course the announcement that he made at BlizzCon. So we should see an improvement in the storyline going forward. Obviously with Steve Danusa, a lot of people disliked his approach to things and the way he told his stories, so I think a lot of people are happy to see him gone. In other stories, we know that Warcraft is approaching its 20th anniversary, and we're all quite a bit older than what we were when we once first started playing this game. But check out this post from IngenueUS0, I probably pronounced that in a completely wrong way, on Reddit. So this guy is a college professor, and this is the first character that he made on his account when he started playing, and this character is itself older than a lot of the students that this guy actually teaches currently. Now I bet that makes him feel so old. And I mean, it just goes to show for us all as well. We get it on a bit, guys. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure you feel it too if you've been playing since vanilla. So yeah, kind of puts it in perspective a little bit, doesn't it? Now, last week we mentioned that the new toy, the Merc Morpher on the Blizzard store, you know, the toy that transforms you into a Murloc, but it only lasts 20 minutes and has a 60-minute cooldown. I kind of expressed my frustration on why they keep putting these stupid cooldowns on toys, which is seemingly pointless. And Vegson on Reddit also echoed my thoughts, and it does seem that a lot of other players agree as well. So come on, Blizzard, man. Stop with the long cooldowns on toys that don't really have any effect on anything else in the game other than a bit of fun. That's the purpose of a toy, right? So rant out of the way, let's take a look at this week's submissions for the Transmog of the Month for February, which the theme is of course Cataclysm. So first this week we had Rollick, and look at the state of this set. I mean, every item on this set is tied together perfectly. I mean, even down to the Thunder Fury. I mean, getting Thunder Fury in there is a bold statement, as well as the Aegis of Agramar as well, albeit the replica one. Mate, it works perfectly. Like, I was really curious to begin with when I very first saw this set, you know, are all these from the same set? Because it looks like they almost are, but they really aren't. You've got the helmet there from the Emerald Nightmare, the shoulders I'm pretty sure they're from the Throne of Thunder in Pandaria, the chest guard, that is a piece from Cataclysm, I believe the Hour of Twilight, and various, you know, Tortoises Shell Seekers, that's also the Throne of Thunder. So you've got things from all over the place. Now, this is honestly a brilliant set. Very, very well done. Nicely put together. And then we've got something different here from Baron. So I quite like here that you've got the Pandaren warrior there, and you've sort of made it work with the Pandaren theme as well. So obviously you've got the tabard there, which is from the Venthyr, but it does work nicely with this set. You've got your legendary axe there, showing that off, making a lot of people envious that may still be farming for that. But it does fit the theme pretty well with the fire. And I like that you've got the monk sort of helmet there, the Shadowpan helmet, and the shoulder, even though that's from Cataclysm, with the sort of smoke coming off it, it does go with the kind of Pandaren Mists theme. So I like what you've done there, and obviously you've got the belt that also complements that too. So yeah, nicely put together, mate, well done. We've got a great hunter set here with a perfectly matching pet to complement from Corvus. Now I do like here that you've gone with the real sort of fiery hunter theme. Look at the helmet and the face on the helmet, and how that matches perfectly with the pet. It's almost the same, of course the helmet's got a bit less of a beak going on, but the colours of the eyes and the shape of the helm, they match perfectly with the pet's face. So even though the pet's not part of the transmog, it sort of is, even though that's not a requirement for the competition. Well, I mean, it's not sort of, it's perfect, mate. The pet is perfect. And I really like the set as well. The antlers there on the back of the helmet, matching perfectly with the cape too. And the bow, you couldn't have picked a better bow for this. I really like this set. It's like a proper cataclysmic hunter. It nails the theme. And next we've got Drothry, the Nomad. The submission here from Kanki. Now you would be forgiven for mistaking this as a survival hunter at the beginning when you first see this, but it is of course a warlock. And you've got the destruction artifact weapon there, which fits this theme perfectly with the rags and things. And you can imagine, like, people may say this set isn't really Cataclysm themed, but think about what the Cataclysm did to the world. people are going to be displaced because of all the destruction. Let's say this guy was living in the Barrens. He may have had his house pretty wrecked, so obviously he's going to be out there trying to find somewhere new to live, potentially. It looks really great with the Warlock tattoos there as well. I think this is very, very good work. Well played. And lastly for this week, we've got Flip Method with the Stone-themed Hunter. I think for a stone-themed transmog, the Dwarf is absolutely the perfect race you could have picked. Look at the pets again as well. Proper stone. Is that the Salamanthers? And you've gone to, what's the zone called again? I was going to say Oldham, it's not Oldham. It's Deepholm, the one from Cataclysm. I really appreciate the fact that you've got the red rocks in the mountain there, the sort of geo formation kind of thing behind you. And then the mount that you've chosen to use, again from the Venthyr Covenant, it's great. It matches perfectly. The transmog itself is fairly understated, which is not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. I like the more subtle transmogs as well. You've got the Dwarven there, obviously using the kind of rocky, male-looking appearances. Appearances is what I was supposed to say. I am very curious with the bow, because it does fit the stone transmog theme very nicely. I wonder, did that take you quite a while to figure out what bow to use for this set, or was it always set from there? Like, what point did you start the transmog from? Like, what was the first thing you chose and then built around? If any, because there may not have been any, you may have just kind of done this bit by bit. But yeah, really curious there, and I wonder if there's any bows that would fit this theme better. I'm not sure. I'm very curious about this one, mate, but very good job. So, there guys, that does round up this week's video. It is a bit of a shorter one. As you may be able to tell, I'm a little bit ill this week, and I've had quite a busy week in real life, so hence why this video is a little bit shorter, and potentially coming out a little bit later, but I am doing my best to get it out on time. Really appreciate you guys for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do consider doing so to keep up with the Warcraft Weekly and any guides that come out from me. Please leave a like on the video if you did enjoy the content this week. And please do come and join us in Discord to submit your Transmog of the Month entry in order to be able to win the £20 Battle.net balance. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I've been LaserBeast, and I will indeed catch you next time, hopefully feeling better. Cheers.